There's something fascinating happening in the cricket world, and it's happening not in India at the moment, but all the way far away in Australia, where South Africa, the only team that has consistently troubled Australia in Australia, are giving them a right hiding. What's happening to Australia? 3-0 in Sri Lanka. They then sent out what seemed like a second string ODI side, 5-0 in South Africa, now 2-0. If they lose the Adelaide Test, it'll be the first time they would have lost 3-0 at home. 12th Test match in a row in which they haven't been able to play an unchanged side. It tells you there is turmoil in Australia. Which sends the fact that there was very little batting coming through the ranks in Australia. But what about the bowling? There's some fantastic fast bowlers in Australia, but they're not playing the Test match. For various reasons, they are not playing. And there's a whole debate now coming up on whether the workloads are right or wrong, whether they're bowling too little and then struggling in Test matches. Why are Australia, the thought leaders and fitness leaders of the world for such a long time, struggling with having enough players to play? They've got so many questions facing them. They've made 6 changes for this, and all of a sudden, and I know my friends in Australia are going to squirm when they hear this, all of a sudden, Australia looking like England. There's a lot of talk happening, there's committees being formed, there's selectors being changed, there's captaincy issues being discussed, there's captain and vice captain issues being discussed. You never got that in Australia. And that just tells you that when a team is down, every team behaves the same way. What about South Africa? I must confess, when I saw South Africa in India, they didn't look like South Africa, just as Australia and India didn't look like Australia. But South Africa has so many issues around them. And I'd started to fear that South Africa just going into a bit of a decline. Players were very unhappy. And then they go to Australia. There's no significant contribution from Hashim Amla. There always is otherwise. There is no AB de Villiers. There is no Dale Steyn. Mone Morkel is just on the fringes. These are the 4 key players. They're doing nothing and they're winning. Why? Temba Bavuma has come up. Kagiso Rabada has come up. Kyle Abbott on the fringe, in and out because of the number of players that South Africa can play, white players. He comes in, he turns out to be a match winner. And in Quinton de Kock, they've got a player who is going to transcend his generation. But more than anything else, they've played an aggressive brand of cricket. And you can see what it's done to Australia. Virat Kohli once said, and I've seen that on various trips to Australia, when you go there, you play against the entire country. And now the cameras are in Faf's face, the headlines are all over, the players are not winning, but maybe the pressure is coming from somewhere else. It's always fascinating to watch. I love Australian cricket, but I'm going to watch very, very closely to see how they come out of this. But South Africa, I don't think anybody expected you to go and do so well. So savor the moment and wish you well.